What up, everybody? Welcome into the Full Coverage Football Show. My name is Jeremy. We got a fun show for you tonight. We got a great football on Thursday night going. It is the Seahawks. It is the Rams. And this may be the game of the week on Thursday night. That's how good of a game we got. But coming up on the other side of our amazing intro, as we always do, we'll be joined by my tag team partner, Mr. Drew Ward, who went 3-1 last week with Ward's Wagers. So stay tuned for the end of the show when we talk Ward's Wagers, because he's just killing it. 6-2 over the last 2 weeks, making your ass some money. But we also got to talk Pro Bowlers getting released / traded. We'll talk that. We'll talk all the games. We're going to have some fun. And yeah, we're probably going to talk a little bit about a certain head coach who may have gotten himself in a little bit of trouble. Maybe. We'll see. See you in 30. Mr. Drew Ward, how you doing tonight, brother?
I'm good, man. How's it going?
I cannot complain. It's been a hell of a busy day. We got a quick show for you guys tonight. We're going to have some fun. Dude, is this game of the week tonight?
It's
certainly how good of a game this is?
I mean, so we don't get this on Thursday. We talk all the time about how, so Thursday's games and London games are like the same thing, right? Mm-hmm. It's typically shitty, two shitty teams playing together, and as we see in London this weekend. But this one's actually might be fun, and it might be a little bit of a shootout. Seattle's defense is struggled to stay off the field. And again, the Rams coming off of kind of being embarrassed when they played the Cardinals. And of course, Seattle hasn't gotten off to the start that they wanted to. So I think it's going to be a good game. And Matthew Stafford in primetime, we'll see. We'll see if it's anything different than it was the 12 years or so in Detroit.
Yeah, if anyone knows what Matthew Stafford does, it's you for sure as a Detroit Lions fan. This is a big game for the Seahawks, really, because, yeah, their defense hasn't been good. They're losing Chris Carson tonight, but you're at 2-2. You lose this game, you're going 2 games back on the Rams, and if the Cardinals win this weekend, you're going 3 games back on them. This is a very competitive, tight division. Props to you because beginning of the year, I said the Cardinals thought they were the last place team. Right now, they keep rolling 4-0. They did beat the Rams last week. That was a game where it seemed like the Rams weren't really in that game. They did.
Yeah.
They whooped them.
Yeah, no, I mean, listen, it's super early to do any victory laps for my Cardinals pick, right? But I do think they're good, and they're loaded kind of everywhere. But yeah, this game, I think, means a lot as far as this division goes because, again, you can't get behind the 8 ball when we're talking about kind of how loaded it is, right? Being 3 games back would be pretty damn big through 5 games and just an extreme uphill battle. So definitely the game is important for both teams. I think being at home, Seattle's, I think, got to get this one, and I'm not sure if they're the side that I would favor.
Yeah, it's tough to pick Seattle, especially without Chris Carson. I mean, they don't run the ball well. They haven't yet this season. He's got 206 scrimmage yards total for the season. This is a neck injury we're talking about, and this is something that may keep him out for a while or at least give him trouble throughout his career so they could lose him. But Russ shines in primetime. Russ is a guy who has been challenging his team so far to say that he put the 49ers mascot, Sourdough Sam, into their scouting report last week. Just to see who was reading it. And DK was on.
Who the hell? By the way, did you know it was Sourdough Sam? Like, were you aware?
I did not.
Okay, either was I. I'm like, who the hell is Sourdough Sam?
Yeah, and that's exactly how I felt. Sourdough Sam was a surprise to me. Hey, I didn't.
I thought it would be like a Rice-A-Roni pack is like their mascot, but I guess it's
the San Francisco
Sourdough Sam. Or whatever.
That's when cancel culture cancels the 49ers for running into the hills and getting gold. Then they become the San Francisco Treats. Then the Rice-A-Roni will be the new mascot.
Fair enough.
I mean, this is a big game. It's in Seattle in front of the 12s. They're back. It's a big season for them. Finally back in. I mean, I cannot see the Rams losing 2 in a row, but going in to face the 12s, and the Seahawks. Short week. This is going to be a really fun game tonight. You really believe that this is the Rams' game to lose, or is this going to be a tight one?
Oh, it's going to be a tight one, but I do think it's their game to lose. I also think, Aaron Donald was somewhat ineffective last week, but you also, and I don't want to say that's a lot of Kyler Murray because Russell Wilson, possesses some of the same traits as Kyler Murray does. But from an offensive line perspective, I think that it's going to be a little bit easier for them to get going with the front four. And what guys like Jalen Ramsey are at the back end. So I do expect a shootout to an extent, which means it'll be 17-14. But I mean, with the way that both offenses operate, I know that Jalen Ramsey's fantastic. He can't guard three guys, right? And so it's definitely going to be fun game to watch. I'm looking forward to it for fantasy, implications as well as just this. Like last week's game, I went to sleep. I went to sleep in the third quarter.
And that was a pretty solid ending to a game.
It was. But you know what? I was willing to risk it and wake up and be like, okay, I guess I missed out on this. But this is one of those games where, you might get me till midnight tonight. So we'll see what happens.
And it looks like we're both picking the Rams on this. And dude, talk about TV pro here. What a perfect segue you gave to another thing we can talk about tonight. Last Thursday's game, we didn't know how much talk there would be of what happened after the game. After the game, we're both picking the Rams, as I said here. We'll get into that later again. But after last week's game, Jaguars go to fly back to Jacksonville. And their head coach, well, he decided to stay. And ever since then, I mean, people are talking, not only did he stay, but nobody does that. Head coaches don't do that.
They don't
stay behind.
Team.
Exactly. Right. Everything Urban Meyer's ever said about being a head coach and building a culture is exactly what he's going against right now. And for those who don't know, you're living in a shell. This is the video we're going to bring up. This is what happened. Let me see if we get this to play here. There's Urban hanging out at one of his bars, dancing with the
weird hand placement. Weird hand placement for me. Wondering what the hand placement's all about. Well, kind of know what it's all about, but
he's checking the oil, baby.
Yeah. It's just to me, the craziest part about it is this is allegedly either at his spot, the Chop House there in Columbus, or right across the street. So like, it's not like people were like, "Oh, wonder who that guy is over there." Like, like, so the fact that he like didn't think like people would be taking videos and stuff, like just, and listen, man, would it be less of a story potentially if they weren't an 0-4 football team? Yeah, probably. And he wasn't a rookie coach. It would probably be less of a story. But at the same time, like, the biggest thing to me was not flying back with the team. I mean, I don't think being at a bar and whatever you do in your personal life is a fireable offense, in my opinion. But it sounds like he's lost the team to an extent, and rightfully so. It just, you don't see the head coach, and you've seen multiple media outlets have ex-head coaches on this week, and they're like, dude, this shit just doesn't happen, right?
Players as well.
Yeah, so, and if you're a player after, a tough loss where you led 17-0 at one point, and then your coach not only stays back, but then is out doing stuff. And again, it's your spot, and you in Columbus, which is like your heralded ground. Outside of that, in Gainesville and potentially Bowling Green, I guess maybe, but
Utah maybe a little bit.
Yeah, you're the Utes, yeah. So, but I mean, it's bizarre, idiotic behavior to me, and he kind of deserves everything that's coming to him. And it's sad because then it boils down to like now his family's involved into something where really it was just a very selfish, dumb decision that I just still don't quite understand the thought process in that moment. It just doesn't make any sense to me.
His excuse is he stayed behind to see the grandkids do all that. They wanted to go out to dinner. You're the head coach of the football team. Say, hey, we're going to fly back Friday. Or say, we're going to fly back Friday. You guys stay the night. We'll all relax. We just played a night game. Let's all go back to the hotel. We're going to relax. I'm going to go see my family. You hang out with yours. These are millionaires. They're bringing their families. This isn't college kids anymore. They can bring their families. They can hang out one extra day. and then get 9 days before their next football game. Urban, especially for the people who say, oh, maybe she didn't know who he was. If they were at the Chop House, if they're at Urban's place, there is a picture on the wall of Urban hugging his wife.
And do you think like everybody standing around wasn't like, holy shit, Urban Meyer's here? Mm-hmm. Like nobody in the bar was kind of like doing like, hey, you guys, it's Urban Meyer. Like it was buzzing. That place was buzzing saying Urban Meyer's here. And then he's just doing his thing.
For people who are like, oh, maybe they didn't know. Maybe they were just out at a bar having a good time. It's not the same situation as like, oh, Mick Jagger was at a bar in Charlotte when they did a concert there. Mick Jagger's wearing a hat down below his eyes. I mean, he's like this. Urban Meyer's like wearing his coach get up, like still in his Jags polo, rocking his hair out like he normally does. Urban looked like Urban. You know Urban in Columbus. I don't care if you living under a rock. I don't care if you're just coming up from Encino Man style sleep. And yeah, we're going to Pauly Shore reference here on the show tonight. God only knows where it's going to end up. But you know who Urban Meyer is in Columbus. She knew what was going on. Urban, listen, Urbs, bro, listen, I'm a loyal dude. I'm not cool with the cheating usually here. But if you're going to do it, nowadays, every single person has a camera. You know this. You've given this speech a million times.
You're Urban Meyer in Columbus. That like you're not in like a random West Virginia.
Yeah. I mean, you're Urbs. You know what you're doing. Be careful. Or just don't put yourself in that situation. I think Drew's having some technical difficulties. You mute yourself. You good?
I don't know.
You back?
I don't know what's going on.
Hey, for once, it's not me this time.
Yes. There we go. Bear with me, fine, folks. I hit something. I don't know what it was, but we're back. Yeah, I'm trying to make you feel better about your situation over there. I figured I'd kind of throw you a bone here. But yeah, that's a crazy situation.
That's a good friend right there, kids.
Nothing good I can say about her.
I mean, Urbs, like, dude, it's just a stupid ass situation. And now, jokingly, I message you about conspiracy theory, how the USC job is opened up. I've said over and over again that I always thought that was the job. Now, I jokingly wrote a conspiracy theory to you that said, Urban's already used his health excuse. He's already used all these other excuses to get out of jobs. Maybe now he's going to have family issues and need to resign from the Jacksonville Jaguars. I jokingly said that. But now it's really looking like the more this comes out and he's losing the team, and then today they break practice, all the players get in, hands up. What do they break practice with? Grind. Oh, come on. You're trolling your head coach. You don't respect this guy. He has lost the team
in 4 weeks, dude. Like that's the problem. Like, I saw a ridiculous thing come out saying like 85% of athletic directors in Power 5 schools wouldn't hire Meyer, which is absurd and it's wrong and it's just not true.
Okay. I think it's 85% can't hire Urban Meyer.
Yeah, and listen, Urban Meyer is again in the wrong, and what you're saying is definitely probably wrong still.
Yeah, I'm with you, but it's possible a little bit.
But at the same time, to act like USC wouldn't hire Urban Meyer, knowing just the recruiting itself alone gets them into a position they haven't been since Pete Carroll. But yeah, I don't know. He can't. First of all, he'll make it through the season, and then we'll see what happens. More than likely, it's not going to end well. But you also have to put into a consideration the amount of money they spent to bring him in, and just really like they built up like they did a lot to get Urban Meyer there, and for it to be like this 4 weeks in, absolute shit show.
It is a shit show, and maybe it turns around, but it is looking bleak. And we were talking a couple weeks ago how it was looking down. We were only a couple weeks into the season, but stock is crashing there in Jacksonville for Urbs. I mean, it is bad. It is really bad. But hey, you know who had a good week? The people in California who won the $685 million Powerball. And why am I bringing that up? Because, we got to get away from football for a second and talk about the best video I've seen all week. I don't know if you've seen this, but there's KSLA in Louisiana. They are in a convenience store talking to these people. What would you do if I ask you, what would you do if you won $685 million? What's the first thing you do?
I would say, well, I'm not going to say what that guy said. I would I would buy an island,
Okay.
move my entire family there, and build my own golf course. And when I'm talking about my entire family, I'm talking like brother-in-laws and like we're just going to take over. Like you 685 million it's just a lot of absurd money.
It is.
I'm not sure how much it is to possess an island. I'm assuming it's probably a pricey adventure. But again, I don't know. I probably wouldn't say this, but I'm excited that you have this video.
I mean, we got to switch it up here. We got to get away from Herbs. Yeah, we're talking off the field. We're going to get back to on the field. But this reporter, and God bless her, she did a great job.
She did a wonderful job of the pivot. She basically just threw one of the things he said into the dumpster and said, "Oh, okay, we can go with this one." And she didn't bother at all. Like this is like the fourth time somebody's mentioned the same thing when she's asked at this gas station. By the way, what kind of people are hanging out at this gas station?
People that they seem like they're having a good time. Let's hear what this guy had to say.
What are you going to do with that money if you?
Well, I'm definitely going to get a new supercharged Mustang with dual exhaust and about 5 kilos of cocaine, and I'll be good to go.
So you like cars? You like cars? I don't like cars. I don't know what I would do with all that money. I would have to sit on it, pray on it for a day.
Sit on it and pray on it for a day.
So pivot to talk about kilos of cocaine to praying is just extraordinary work by her. Oh, so you like cars?
Nothing about 5 kilos of cocaine that Tony Montana Jr. there. He's straight out says it on TV here, knowing it's going viral.
Well, dude, there was another guy that did this before, and he said hookers and cocaine.
Yeah, I remember that one too.
It's like, stop interviewing these kind of trash people at the gas station. Like that's the funny thing to me is, and I know this is completely odd, like it might be even out of line to say, but I'm going to say it anyways. The people that are spending all their money on lottery tickets.
That's exactly what I was going to say.
Are like the same people that are like housing cartons in Newports weekly and like struggling on the daily. And they're just like, hey, let's just throw all this money in and hope to win the lottery. And it just doesn't seem like a smart investment to me, but it's always the same kind of folks that gets you, but it never seems like they're the ones that win. I've never, I watched this lottery dream home show, right? and it's just people that randomly win the lottery and they're like, they win like $1 million and they're like, how much you want to spend on a home? They're like 200,000. And I'm like, these are like reasonably like responsible people. That I don't think is like the people like that we just saw are not the people that win the lottery like this.
Yeah. I mean, every now and then on that show, you see one guy who's like, yeah, we won $575,000. I'd like to spend $580 and I want to pay cash.
Yeah.
And you're like, all right, there's taxes. There's a little more. It's not just going to be, you're not going to be able to take $5,000 off the price. Like we could negotiate. No, I want $580,000 house. I'm paying $575 for out the door. It's how it works. I bought my truck this way. You trust me. I'm going to do right. These people, they're phenomenal. But yeah, stop interviewing people at these damn convenience stores. They're in there to get some chew, some Slim Jims, a cup of coffee, and head on to work. And depends when you're interviewing. Hey, maybe I'm just getting off work, especially, come on now. But they always give great interviews. It's fun. And I had to bring that up. We had to switch it up because, we have way too much on football on this show. And some of our best shows, even though this is the full coverage football show, are when we just go off topic. And so we had to switch it up there a little bit. Get away from Herbs. Because it feels like lately we talk TMZ because there's so much shit going on off the field. But we'll digress and get back onto the field.
That's never going to end either. Like there's always going to be shit off the field. Like we could talk about NBA players mediocre NBA players just getting arrested left and right today. I mean, we could just do TMZ sports, if we wanted to go that route. Oh, my partner, he's still faced at this point. I feel like he's lost connection. We were doing pretty damn well. I'm not going to lie. Okay, so I'm just going to pivot to the next topic then without him. So today, or yesterday rather, Jalen Smith and then Stephon Gilmore. Both were claimed to be released, and then the New England Patriots ended up trading Stephon Gilmore for a 6th round pick, which was basically just getting something back for a guy that they were going to end up, releasing anyway. So the interesting thing is when you look at it from that perspective, it's like, okay, are we surprised by this at all, right? Are we surprised that Stephon Gilmore, who is a defensive player of the year, was released by or traded by New England? For me, honestly, I'm not overly surprised. I think New England actually didn't do themselves any favor with this entire process, right? If we pivot back to last year, they had the opportunity to probably trade him for some significant draft equity as far as a second even rounder pick. But the problem is gone is there's been no talks, no room or wiggle room in the negotiations with trying to, sign him to a better contract or a new contract. So that kind of puts you at a stalemate from that perspective. And then you throw on top the fact that he's been injured. He's been on the PUP list all year. So he's an unhappy player. He was on the physically unable to perform list, and I believe he'll be coming back soon. And he wants a lot of money. And so for New England, you're in a tough position when it comes to that, because what do, right? Because Bill Belichick's not going to penny up the money and pay him. And we kind of know how the way the negotiations have gone, that's just not going to be the case. So what do? You pick up the phone and try to trade him, but his value has gone so far down for the two reasons I mentioned. One, everybody knows that you are not going to pay him, and that you're kind of in a stalemate where you have very limited options of what the future holds with what you want to do with him. And so all of a sudden, what could have been a 2nd round pick value last year, which your team ended up to be irrelevant last year anyway, now you basically have to give him away for nothing, which is kind of what they were placed into doing. Now, on the other end of things, Carolina picks up the phone and they say, hey, we don't want to get into a bidding war where we just want to obtain the player, acquire the player for the 6th round pick. And he's being added to a fantastic defensive team already. Sam Darnold has been fine on the offensive side of the football. He does lead the lead in rushing touchdowns, which is something. But I think you add him with your Horn, your 1st round pick, and that defense is really, really good. So as far as that goes, I'm not completely surprised by it. It just New England did themselves no favors by hanging on to him, getting nowhere in contract negotiations. Him being on the PUP list, it just his value just diminished rapidly. And here's where you are. You have to give him up for a 6th round pick, which is just basically a lottery ticket.
Doing the 6th round pick really smart for the Carolina Panthers. Yes, he may have gone there in free agency, but you make sure that you're not going to lose out to him, because, Devontae Adams is like, hey, call me. And then he tweets out, he didn't call me. He never called. They also add CJ Henderson. I mean, they're doing a really good job of adding talent to that defense. And this is a team that they're not sitting there saying, hey, we're 3-1 right now. We just lost to Dallas Cowboys. Sammy Darnold not passing the ball well, but getting the ball in the end zone with his legs. They're doing a really good job of just keeping moving, hoping they can keep adding with this team. And now this weekend, hopefully they get back Christian McCaffrey. It's a big weekend for the Carolina Panthers to get what they've got and to keep adding on to it.
Yeah. No, I agree. Well, Sam Darnold's running so well, we'll call him Samuel L. Jackson.
There you go. Samuel Lamar Jackson. Now, Jalen Smith. Have you already talked about Jalen Smith?
I have not talked about Jalen Smith.
Okay.
No, I was just ranting about
the show.
you're like, oh my God, he's gone. He's gone.
Yeah.
You did pretty damn good for a 15 to 18 minute stretch, though, as far as connectivity issues.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we definitely need to work back to getting this hardwired in, because Spectrum Wi-Fi blows. It shut down everything. Now I can't watch TV because I stream everything, and I'll work on that later, but I'm not going to be watching the game for a little bit. Spectrum, you still suck. And for those who don't think Spectrum sucks, last night I started moving stuff because I got furniture coming. Literally, move my modem, move my router, it stops working. I asked them what possibly happened because I couldn't get it to connect. Do you know what they tell me? It probably stopped working when you moved it. Dead serious. I wish I could be lying about that. I have the text messages to prove it. It's unbelievable how stupid they are. But yeah, Spectrum, get your shit together. Why do you suck so bad lately?
I agree.
Period. Anyway,
We,
Jalen,
we bitch about Spectrum a lot on this show.
we do, and yet I keep him because I can't get WoW. I don't like AT&T. Maybe I have to make it up with AT&T, and we have to like come to a mutual understanding again.
Men ways,
Maybe
yeah.
we will.
Sure.
I mean, it's possible. We'll see. But we'll get to that. Jalen Smith released by the Cowboys. A lot of people surprised by that. I was not. They pay him $7.2 million to say, hey, it's not working out. Let's go our separate ways. He then signs with Green Bay. Were you shocked when they released Jalen Smith?
I was more shocked than I was. I kind of disagree that. I mean, I can't disagree that you weren't shocked because that's your personal feeling on things. But I disagree. It's basically like you're paying him $7.2 million. There's a reason you gave him that second contract, right? So he hasn't performed up to his hype at all this year. But at the same point, if you're already paying him that much money, and that's money that the Cowboys are eating in this situation, I just think that you let it ride for a little bit longer. I mean, we're still 4 weeks away from the trade deadline. So that one was a little surprising for me. I think, again, this is kind of the one thing that both teams kind of screwed up with. This is the lowest value point for the player. Yes. And again, last year, New England could have traded Stephon Gilmore for 2. It's just a fact. And this year, it's just not. Right? He was on the PUP list. He's disgruntled. They have no leverage as far as New England's concerned. It's the same kind of with Jalen Smith. He's really at the bottom of his value right now based off the way he was playing. So for this one, I'd hold on to that one for a little longer and go from there. But I'm not shocked. And hopefully he's terrible in Green Bay.
Hey, they signed him to a big deal. And at the time, I said it was going to be an absolute steal. I tweeted that out. That's on my Twitter at SomeRealCLE. I'm not going to delete that tweet. You can go back and find it. I said it was a great deal for them, and it would be a steal of a contract once the NFL salary cap started going up. Then we had COVID. It went down. Now it's going back up. However, since he signed that extension, his play on the field has been abysmal. It's gone downhill faster than Urban Meyer's coaching career here in Jacksonville. That's how bad it's been. He's not good at all. He is a liability when he's on the field. He's not helping his team at all. And the reason I believe they did end up releasing him, yes, they're going to eat the money. But this is a big move because I think the football people are taking over more so than Jerry and the pocketbook people. This is a big move for the Cowboys for that reason, not only, but I think the reason on the field they let him go is because he wasn't helping out in special teams. And if this guy is going to be your 5th or 6th linebacker on your team, you need that guy to make an impact on special teams, and he just wasn't willing to do it. So what do you say? Time to move on. Let's go our separate ways. Yeah, they owe him $7.2 million. Good deal for Jalen. But, hey, good to see them say, hey, we got to cut bait here. Let's see what happens. Guy is athletic as all hell. He's a stud, but he's got to get his head together. He's got to get his smarts going on. He's got to figure out how to use that athleticism.
Well, it just screams a guy that got paid and stopped caring. And I'm not saying that that's the case because I don't want to pretend like I know that to be a fact, but it's certainly on the outside looking in feels like that, right?
Yeah,
I mean,
it absolutely does.
And we've always known his talent coming out of Notre Dame. I mean, of course, he had the terrible injury, which forced him to slip to the second round to the Cowboys, and he was nicked up initially when in Dallas, but he really showed signs and his athleticism. Good Lord. It kind of jumped off, and that's what you want in a linebacker in this league. And then it's just he's fallen off the face of the earth, and maybe a change of scenery and a kick in the ass, does him well. But yeah, it's tough to not kind of throw in the fact that he got paid and then pretty much immediately the play kind of slipped.
100%. It's not a good look, and hey, now he's got to prove himself again. He did still get $7.2 million. Maybe that now though he's getting cut, it's going to show that you got to show some pride. You got to work on your game here. Yeah, absolutely. 2 guys getting released, especially here. It's just a weird timing thing. 2 former Pro Bowlers. The Stephon Gilmore move, though, for the Panthers, I dig that move. Mixing him, C.J. Henderson, J.C. Horn when he gets healthy. They got some talent there. This team is really building to try to stop the Tampa Bay Buccaneers in that division.
Yeah, he's got broken bones in his foot. I'm sorry. Something distracted me.
Yeah.
It was football.
And he's got a few more weeks. Heal up, learn the playbook.
Yeah. Listen, I mean, again, though, when he was playing, he looked every bit of the part. So And then, yeah, to your point, adding CJ Henderson, they're kind of going in like, and we know that there's kind of two different ways to win Super Bowls. And I know the game's changed slightly.
Mm.
We either have to have a ridiculous defense or you have to have a elite quarterback. There's no in between, like, right? You can't just throw a average quarterback in with an average defense. It doesn't work.
Nope.
And in today's game, again, it certainly doesn't favor the defensive side of the football. But if your offense can do enough, and I think with the healthy Christian McCaffrey and some of the weapons that they have, and Sam Darnold being able to not turn the football over, which he's done a really nice job of so far, I think that's a really good thing for them moving forward. You control the line of scrimmage, you control the clock, and you kind of let your defense go to work, and they're going to win a lot of games that are 24 points less. And they've made considerable strides as a hyper speed from what we would have thought this team. And that's credit to Matt Rule and that entire, coaching staff and front office.
100%. And what they really need to do on offense, refine Robbie Anderson. Robbie Anderson last year was a difference maker for that team going down deep in the field. Now everything, yes, you're having 6 20-yard plays a game. You're doing pretty well with that. But it's really DJ Moore making moves after the catch. It's really Christian McCaffrey the first couple games making moves after the catcher in the run game. You need to open everything up by stretching the field. Robbie Anderson, again, we'll see if they do. But before we move on to picking games and talking about the London game, which is always a great game, best game of the week, never a good game. Let's go back to the Dallas Cowboys defense. How about our boy Trevon Diggs? 5 interceptions in 4 games. Kid is just balling out. And for those of you who've been
every team had a chance to draft him. Every single team had a chance to draft him.
And we got to bring this up because we've had to eat so much crow over Justin Herbert. But Trevon Diggs,
we'll take this one.
Every team after 16 in the 2019 draft had a shot to get him, and they didn't do it. Or the
they
2020
refused.
Draft, whichever draft it was. It was 2020. It was our first draft show. We go 4 hours live.
It was 2019, dude.
Was it 2019? Is that it?
Wait. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I think so.
Either way, whatever draft show.
Doesn't matter.
It
Yeah,
doesn't
you're
matter.
right.
Let's get into picking games. First game of the week that we are going to pick. Well, we already picked the Rams to win tonight. We usually don't go with that one, but we did get at the show before kickoff, so we will go with that one. But we got football starting Sunday, 9:30 a.m., live from Tottenham Hotspur Stadium in the lovely UK. Got the New York Football Jets against the Atlanta Falcons. Are you liking that one, love?
So Atlanta's not trying. Calvin Ridley's not going. Russell Gage is not going.
Nope.
So I don't like any of them. I don't like either team. But I'm actually
0-0 tie.
I'll take the Jets.
All right. Drew's got the Jets in this one. And hey, before we go any further, I need to bring up the fact that Drew whooped my ass last week. I was 7-8. Drew 9-7 last week. Now you got a 2-game lead on me, 44-19, which is
9-7 is pretty terrible, by the way. Because we're not picking spreads.
No.
9-7's not good. But so I can't even take the kick your ass thing, even though it was only by 2 games, because that was just a disaster from both of us. We're going to be better this week.
You're actually 9-6. I put 7 on there just to make it look better. It was 9-6, so you were still 3 games over. But yeah, we did not have a good week last week. It was a bad week for picks. But back to this game. Okay. Calvin Ridley's not going. Russell Gage not going. But you know who is going? Your favorite player in the entire NFL. Cordell Patterson, baby. Cordell Patterson's making the trip. The 3rd best fantasy player right now in the entire league. Insane to think. Cordless Darrell is having himself a hell of a season with the Falcons.
Is this is smoke and mirrors, right? Like the Cordell Patterson trend. Like Jesus, I can't talk tonight. Is this a sustainable trend for Cordell Patterson?
I think it is. Maybe not to this peak that he has here where he's getting 3 touchdowns a game, but they're finally saying, hey, this guy, we're not going to just put him out there wide receiver and say you're a wide receiver. They're using him all over the field as a tool that can
Which
do
nobody's
anything.
done in 8 years, dude.
No,
like,
I mean,
it's not like he's a rookie. Like, again, he's been a kind of a special team specialist. That's pretty redundant. But and then he's played some wide receiver and kind of been a gimmick player. But clearly he deserves touches and he's taken full advantage of the opportunity. And especially this week, I think when you talk about the rookie Kyle Pitts and you talk about Cordell Patterson, those guys have to step up this week because there's just, I mean, losing Calvin Ridley's tough because Calvin Ridley is really, really good. Yes, and he's had a rough start to the season because Matt Ryan's been ass. So Matt Ryan has to be better. But again, they've been terrible with Calvin Ridley. And so now you take them away. And I'm not saying that the New York Jets are like good. Did have an overtime win, though.
Over
the
team
Titans.
That's been to the deep in the playoffs.
No big deal. No big deal. But I think the longer, Zach Wilson continues to get opportunities and reps, the more he'll turn down on his turnovers or cut down rather on his turnovers. And so I'll take them here. This game stinks, but we'll be watching because it's on at 9:30.
9:30 a.m. football. We got 16 hours.
I feel like the people across the pond deserve some more respect. Send them team. Send them a real team.
How about the fact that we've never had a game in London with two teams with winning records? Never.
Yeah. I mean, they used to throw the Lions in London occasionally, rightfully so. Like, literally, it's like the Lions and Jags need to square off in London because, like, that's pretty much what you do to the people.
Urban doesn't need any more.
Yeah.
Let's
he might be able to get away with it in London. Nobody knows who the hell he is in London.
He could get away with it. Philadelphia Eagles 1-3 at Carolina Panthers 3-1. Carolina going to roll in this one?
Yeah, I don't want to say roll. Jalen Hurts has been surprisingly good statistically. If you actually sit back and take a look at it, Devontae Smith's come on a little bit. I just think they don't have an ability to rush the football right now. Miles Sanders is like a missing person. He's on a milk carton. And so you have Kenneth Gainwell, who's actually shown some promise. But again, I just don't think that the Eagles can do enough offensively against that defense. So I will go with Carolina, especially if Christian McCaffrey does happen to come back for this game.
Yeah, Carolina should bounce back pretty good in this game. You're absolutely right about Miles Sanders. Everyone drafts him every year, the past 3 years, saying, hey, this is what the kid's going to do in fantasy. And he's been a dud because they don't give him the football. They don't get it to him where
your boy in fantasy kept trying to trade me Miles Sanders, and I kept I don't want Miles Sanders. I don't want him.
He ends up in this league trading him for Latavius Murray, and I'm like, that's kind of a weird trade. But I'm like, Latavius Murray actually gets the football.
No, clearly
it's going to work out.
I could tell we were back and forth with because I told you I had to have Jamar Chase in this trade, otherwise I wasn't trading him anything, and it was just like he sent Miles Sanders and anybody else. And I'm like, dude, I do not want Miles Sanders. And to his point, either did he clearly. So he went out and got Latavius Murray.
And I told him,
it's
Miles
like
these going off.
Everybody in fantasy football is like Miles Sanders. Like all the people listening to it's like, dude, I was off Miles Sanders, and I'm not a fantasy football expert, but like I've watched Miles Sanders, and I just don't think he's that good. And I also don't think that they do a great job of blocking in the run game at this point. And you would think that Jalen Hurts' ability to get out of the pocket and kind of run would help a running game. It just hasn't been the case. And Kenneth Gainwell has been a significantly better player, in my opinion, so far.
He has been because he's running the ball between the tackles. He's not. I don't know what they're trying to do with Miles Sanders. Miles Sanders has shown explosive ability, but hasn't put it all together. But yeah, I'm going to take Panthers as well. Moving on, Green Bay Packers 3-1 against the 3-1 division leading Cincinnati Bengals. Taking Green Bay in this one.
Yeah, I'm taking Green Bay. I think Green Bay is they're slowly starting to get their legs underneath them and get things going here. And I do like what Cincinnati's done. I mean, we ripped them all offseason for, the fact that they did go get Jamar Chase, which, by the way, we were huge on Jamar Chase, both of us, the whole offseason. So, like, even during the drop stuff, we were on here saying, I wouldn't panic yet. And he's been fantastic. Joe Burrow's done an exceptional job of getting the ball out of his hands early, and he's been extremely accurate, and he's actually been really, really impressive. But I just don't think it's enough against Green Bay and their ability to score the ball. And so we'll see what happens. It's just, man, it's tough. Like Devonta Adams got nicked up last week, came back, pretty much put the team on his back and won the game. That's just kind of a special player. He is. I think Cincinnati is on their way to being one of those teams. They're just not there yet.
Yeah, I'm with you. If Joe Mixon was here, I think it'd be a closer game. Without Joe Mixon, I don't trust that running back by committee. I do love what Joe Burrow's doing. T. Higgins possibly back, but still, not enough power.
You ate Samaje Perine, dude?
I'm not against Samaje.
No, it seems like you're against him.
I'm not big on Samaje.
I hear you.
Samaje
He's an Oklahoma kid, though.
Yeah, 400 yards running in Oklahoma. Pretty damn good. New England Patriots 1-3 at Houston Texans 1-3. This is Mac Jones has to ball out.
This is a Mac Jones game, dude. I also
Right.
think this is a Damian Harris game. They've been targeting Jacoby Myers at a wild clip, and I think they continue to do a lot of the same since there's not a lot there. But Mac Jones has been serviceable. Mac Jones is New England's certainly putting the reins on what they're going to allow Mac Jones to do at this point. But he's actually the last couple of weeks rung the bell and been really, really solid and accurate and smart with his reads. I'm going to take New England here. I also think like David Mills, like Belichick's going to scheme the young fella up, and it's probably going to be a turnover fest for him. And again, it's just with Houston. I know Houston came out and kind of surprised us all, but they beat kind of what we know now is a bad team. I mean, we knew them was a bad team, but we thought Houston was historically bad. So I'm going to go with New England in this one.
Yeah, Davis Mills has struggled with turnovers. I think he's got 5 interceptions. I think he had 3 or 4 last week. And
he's supposed to be holding the clipboard, dude.
He is. And it's a rough time for him, and this wasn't going to be a good team, as you said. But Mac Jones, I thought Mac Jones played really well last week. And that was a tough game for him. All the hype around Tom Brady. Could have put all that pressure on him, but he just played his game. That's the one thing I appreciate about Mac Jones so far is he just stays within himself. He's not trying to do too much, but maybe every now and then he's got to branch out, and maybe we'll see that as he goes on.
I also think that over time, Josh McDaniels will open more things up for him. Because I also think a lot of the reason why he's kind of dumbed down to a vanilla dink and dunk to an extent is probably because he's kind of told that we're not going to turn the ball over. We're going to, and so that's kind of what we see.
Absolutely. Tennessee Titans 2-2 travel to Jacksonville. Herb's team, what are we expecting out of him this week?
Well, not much. DJ Chark's out with the foot injury or maybe knee injury. You get AJ Brown back in this game. It sounds like Julio Jones probably still not going to play. I just think they're just going to hand it to Derrick Henry 35 times and be able to work play action. And Jacksonville, again, this isn't when they lose this week. This isn't just because of an Urban Meyer thing. Mm-hmm. It's a roster that's not necessarily ready to win, and it's a quarterback that's got happy feet at this point, and he's trying to get it figured out. And to that point, Urban Meyer's done them no favors. I mean, he refuses to run the ball consistently, and it's like, why? Like, you have again a rookie quarterback that's struggling, like, and he's under pressure. Like, you run the ball, it doesn't make any sense to me. And I know that's a Darrell Bevell deal, but you can't tell me that
Herbs is the head coach. Once again, he takes control. I'm
not going to put this on Darrell Bevell. Darrell Bevell had success last year with the Detroit Lions in that offense, so I'm not putting this all on Darrell Bevell. Of course, Matt Stafford's a significantly better quarterback at this point of his career than Trevor Lawrence.
Trevor Lawrence did not look good at times. It's the decision making for me that has really shown how it's like he's not getting it all the time, or he's still not adjusted really to the speed of the NFL, thinking he can throw to guys who are maybe open by a few yards, let that ball float, as we saw against Arizona. Everyone's fast in the NFL. None of these guys
safety closes way quicker on that corner route than he's used to, right? He thinks he can feed it between the corner and the safety and in a cover 4 or whatnot. He just can't do it. He can do it, but he just, to your point, there's just too much air under it. It needs to be on a rope because those guys will cover ground in a hurry. And so, and again, this situation sucks for him, right? Like, it's been a shit show. Like, this isn't like what you're supposed to walk into the NFL with. He hasn't been dealt a great hand, but he hasn't also been good. And I think that there needs to be people that understand that he's kind of had a bad handout to him, but also we can criticize the way he's played because it certainly hasn't been good.
And you're 100% right with that. You see Herbs being shell-shocked, basically saying to a coach, it's like playing Alabama every week. Well, that's exactly how it feels for a rookie quarterback, except usually you have a guy who's versed in the NFL, who's been there, who's done it, as the guy you can look at. And Darrell Bevell can do all he wants as your offense coordinator, but the head coach is the guy they got to look up to. Until the head coach catches up, you can't expect the rest of the team, especially the rookies, especially the quarterback, especially. I don't know if I just said especially. It sounds like I should be getting lottery tickets tomorrow morning. But anyway, especially, let's go back to that. Especially when your quarterback is a rookie as well. I mean, we'll see how they do, but Tennessee should bounce back in this one. Will they? Who the hell knows? Interesting to see, but I got the Titans. You got the Titans. Moving on to the next game. Detroit Lions 0-4, Minnesota Vikings 1-3.
Next.
both take the Vikes there, I believe.
Dude, the Lions
It
are
is-
going to be without Sewell, without Ragnow,
Possibly
without
Hawk.
Decker. I mean, Hawk's been nicked up.
Mhm.
They've lost.
It's
Yeah.
a rough time for them, and they were already weak to begin with. Not a lot of
Yeah.
depth.
The less we
But-
talk about them this week, the better. Let's move on.
If they keep fighting, it's still a good sign. Denver Broncos 3-1 at Pittsburgh Steelers 1-3. Pittsburgh get their second win. Denver for real. What do we see out of the Broncos? Who
No
wins
and
this game?
no. No
Okay.
and no. So Denver wins.
Okay.
Pittsburgh's still not good. And that doesn't mean that Denver's good. I mean, Ben Roethlisberger's bad. I'll give Mike Tomlin credit. Mike Tomlin knows Ben Roethlisberger's on his last leg. He would never say that.
Mhm.
But Najee Harris has like 7,000 targets out of the backfield, and all they do is run it and throw the screens to Najee Harris. So that tells me that Mike Tomlin knows that Ben Roethlisberger's washed. It's just not a good football team at this point. And listen, of course they can win. They should be the better football team, especially with Drew Lock playing.
Mhm.
But I can't take Pittsburgh.
I mean, you look at the Pittsburgh Steelers. We said last year that they should get a backup quarterback here. This isn't Aaron Rodgers playing at the peak of his career.
Dwayne Dimes is waiting.
Dwayne Haskins waiting in the wings. It's not necessarily a good thing right now, but hey, it might be better than what you got. We've criticized Green Bay for taking Jordan Love when they did. But maybe if Pittsburgh followed that mold, they wouldn't be where they're at right now. Because, yes, Ben Roethlisberger, Hall of Famer, but he's goddamn awful right now, and he's not getting any better. Denver should win this game easily. Miami Dolphins 1-3, traveling to Tampa to face 3-1 Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Tampa.
I mean, the Dolphins, dude, they're just not a good football team.
No. This game, a 1:00 game from FedEx Field. Referee Sean Smith. This is a Spiro Ditas Jay Feely special. This is two teams that we don't know who the hell they are. The New Orleans Saints 2-2. The Washington football team 2-2. New Orleans Saints, one game, they're the best offense you'll see. Washington football team, we're all in for this defense. This defense is going to be so great. They're so fun to watch. They have been bad. Both these teams, Jekyll and Hyde. Who win? What happens in this?
Yeah, as much as we like it, like you saw Alvin Kamara had a really successful week last week, which is clearly Sean Payton's understood that based off volume wise and the way he's used Alvin Kamara in the first 4 weeks, it just wasn't working. So he did pivot, which I respect. Sean Payton's one of the best coaches in this league. Washington's defense has to show the hell up. That front four needs to show up. And again, they were not even that great against Atlanta last week. So for me here, and I want to take Washington because I'm a Washington Redskins football team fan at this point. I apologize to all the Native Americans listening. Yeah, but I gotta fade the Reds. Jesus, I did it again. The football team here. I apologize. I'm a good person. I promise.
I can't say anything about the Washington football team's former name because I'm a diehard Cleveland Guardians fan over here, and that was really fucking hard for me to say. But the Saints, listen, they're running the football. That's when they're the best. Kamara, 120 yards from scrimmage, that's his best game this year. No touchdowns because good old Taysom Hill comes in and he gets in the end zone when they need it. Taysom Hill, the touchdown vulture.
I do need to say something.
Hit it.
Taysom Hill just finds a way to get if you were a defense, you would hate playing Taysom Hill because there's nothing that he should be able to do to like that where you shouldn't be able to stop him. But he just last week he had a run where he was just looking like Barry Sanders out there shaking guys. And his ability to get in the end zone when they know he's going to be the one to try to get in the end zone is actually pretty incredible. And Jameis Winston,
someone make a payment on them eyes and get them back. All right.
I don't even know. Like at least when Jameis was terrible, when he was with Tampa, he would at least throw for 300 yards. He would just throw for 3 picks. We want that Jameis back. That Jameis was way more fun. I don't want this not turning it over, throwing for 118 yard Jameis. I don't want that anymore.
Crazy thing is, Jameis, I know quarterback rating, I don't really care about that much, but he's had 3 of his 4 starts over 110 plus quarterback rating. Basically, Jameis has gone from famous Jameis chucking the ball all over the place to famous Jameis, the game manager.
Yeah.
Like,
also, confirm this game is not going to be a shootout.
what do we got? What's any score yet?
No.
Nothing.
No.
First quarter still.
Yeah, 2 minutes
All right.
left.
All right.
So
we're both
confirmed
taking
not
New Orleans
shootout.
on that one.
Yeah. Sorry.
All right.
Yeah, I don't feel great about it, but Taylor Heineke.
Cleveland Browns 3-1 traveling to Los Angeles to SoFi Stadium, home of whoever the visiting team is. I expect a lot of barks during pre-games here because what the Raiders did to this team last week was an absolute joke. The Raiders fans took over that stadium, and it always seems to happen to the Chargers. The LA Chargers 3-1 with possibly the best young quarterback in the game upcoming here in Justin Herbert, who's just throwing absolute dimes in that first half of last week's Monday night game. That pass to Austin Eckler on the wheel route, sick.
He's so fun to watch.
He's fun to watch.
Yeah, he is.
The Browns coming off an ugly ass win, and ugly doesn't show in the win column, but it's an ugly win nonetheless.
Baker coming off an ugly win. Everybody else
the worst games
fine.
I've seen Baker play.
He was terrible. I watched the
Underthrew
whole game.
OBJ twice, hit a corner in the back of the head, and missed OBJ wide open, streaking down the field by himself.
Yeah.
No one within 10 yards of him. Baker, they come out today, say he's got a torn labrum. I have a torn labrum in my right shoulder, had it for forever. It hasn't fully healed itself because I've never stopped using my shoulder. Basically, what it comes down to with labrum is it's a pain tolerance thing. How much can you handle? How much can you deal with? When it starts grinding, are you going to be okay with that? When your shoulder feels like it's not even there, are you going to be okay with that? Thankfully, it's his non-throwing shoulder, but that still throws off your mechanics at times. What is Baker going to do? Is this just an excuse to make up for the game last week? Is Baker going to bounce back? Baker needs to bounce back for the Browns to win this game. Will he?
Yes.
I'm not 100% sold on that.
Yeah, I'll take
Who you got winning this game? You're taking the Cleveland Browns?
Yep.
I think this is going to be an interesting game.
It's going to be a good game.
This was game of the week. I was thinking maybe this one could be, but this game tonight I think has more.
I'm thinking last week was more of a throwout than a trend but for Baker. And I think, again, they'll run the football. I mean, listen, the defense in the running game won the game last week. I mean, all Baker did was overthrow guys until he had wide open touchdowns and he underthrew them. So it
wasn't just the overthrows and underthrows. It was some of his decision making that made no sense. He had a spot where he had a wide open Demetric Felton in the flat and takes a 2-yard loss rather than just flip the ball to the guy across the sticks.
Yeah. I mean, again, though, for me, yeah, it was terrible and he was bad. But the thing that I learned was Cleveland Browns are a legit team because they won a game where their quarterback basically did absolutely nothing for them, and they could rely on their running game, and they could throw the ball when needed on a screen. That's about all he could complete without overthrowing it. And the defense stood up again. The defense was tremendous another week in a row, and so that I think Cleveland showed that they can win games in different ways, and I just think that's not the norm for Baker Mayfield moving forward the way he played.
I think this game has a lot of chance to be a really fun shootout. It has that possibility. It's going to come down to
kind of like this one,
finding out if the Cleveland Browns defense the last 2 weeks is the defense we expect to see going forward, if they've really gelled, if this is really something Joe Woods has put together, and can Jedrick Willis on that bum ankle that's kept him out of taking all the snaps in 2 games in a row and actually had him carted off the field in the third quarter last week, he's going to have to face Joey Bosa. Joey Bosa is a bad man. If they can keep Baker upright, if they can run the football, and I think they can run the football with Kyler Fackrell basically being in instead of Kenneth Murray, that'll be a big deal. I think Cleveland Browns win this. I think it's going to be a fun game. 4:05 kickoff. Can't wait for that one. Chicago Bears 2-2 travel to Las Vegas to face the Raiders 3-1, coming off their first loss this season on Monday night against those Chargers. Justin Fields looked better last week, but
played the Lions.
Matt Nagy still sucks.
Give me
Chicago win.
no. Give me Oakland. God damn, bless it. Give me Vegas. I
Give me
should have
Los
said
Angeles Raiders.
yeah.
Give me the Vegas. Wherever they are this year. San Francisco 49ers 2-2, possibly led by Trey Lance, who looked solid in his really first full-time playing with Jimmy Garoppolo going down. 2-2, they travel to Arizona to face 4-0 Cardinals. Cardinals moving to 5-0.
Yeah, I think so, man. I think that's a lot to ask for Trey Lance to walk into, especially with, again, I think Arizona's, I don't want to say they're super legit, but I think they're going to be good, and I think they got a chance to win the division.
They started out really good last year, and they fell down the stretch.
Yep.
But
yeah,
this
it's
is not
super
the
early.
same team.
Yeah,
But-
and we had an extra week this year, so like we're way too early to be throwing out any predictions besides the Lions suck ass.
New York Giants 1-3 at Dallas Cowboys.
Dallas.
Jason Garrett homecoming game.
Yeah. Don't. Listen, Danny Dimes is okay last week. Like, he was fine.
And
He
Saquon was solid.
and yeah, but I think Dallas is pretty solid at this point. And Ezekiel Elliott showing that he's kind of gotten things back going. And when he's out, Tony Pollard's been really good. And we know those weapons that they have. Mari Cooper's dinged up, but I just don't think it matters.
No, Zeke getting back to being Zeke, huge for them right now. And a lot of that is the fact that Dak is back to being Dak. Game that also was up for game of the week. Buffalo Bills 3-1 at Kansas City Chiefs. Possible preview of the AFC title game 2-2. Who are you liking this one?
I'll take the Chiefs in this one. What a game. Forgot about this one, to be honest with you. Just the two guys. I just think for Kansas City, I just think that they've gotten off to somewhat of a rocky start. And I do expect them to come out and have a really good game because the opponent is big. And you know how it is a lot of the times. You're playing against another young stud quarterback. When you're a guy like Patrick Mahomes, this game means a little more to the team, I think. I will take Kansas City. It's going to be a good game, though. Because, again, both these guys are young stud quarterbacks, and both have weapons all over the field. I mean, Tyreek Hill went crazy last week.
That he did. 3 touchdowns last week, 4 on the season now. Kansas City, I don't know if I trust that defense right now. But what I do know is that Buffalo's defense has been everything we expected Washington's defense to be and more. I think if that defense can continue to play like it has, that they win this football game. I think this is a statement game for the Buffalo Bills. I will take the Buffalo Bills to win this one. 2017 to type score for them to win. I think if it gets into the 30s, they lose this game. I'm putting this on the defense, Buffalo. It's on you. Indianapolis Colts, this is the Monday night game. 1-3, travel to Baltimore to M&T Bank Stadium. Another week without Peyton and Eli. Dealing with
what's that?
Levy.
Yeah, that's I'm not a fan of that.
I mean,
Matt Stafford may have just thrown one of the worst interceptions that I've seen in a long time. I don't know if he was trying to throw it away. He just threw it right to Quandre Diggs.
Maybe.
No, I see what happened. His receiver just stopped and decided to run the other way. It was kind of like a broken play in the red zone, and he threw it. I don't know if sorry. He threw it right to Quandre Diggs.
Hey,
and
lines.
They were like on the 10, and he was rolling right, and his receiver like kept rolling right, and then just stopped and started going left, and then he just threw it. So maybe it wasn't the worst, but damn, it wasn't good.
Not good in a game that is a big game for both teams there to keep pace in the NFC West. But back to the Monday night game. Yes, we have no Eli, no Peyton because they signed for 30 games over 3 years, so they're only going to be with us for 10 games a season. Steve Levy, Brian Greasy, Lewis Riddick, Lisa Salters as the field reporter for those watching. That booth. Let Lewis Riddick talk more than Brian Greasy, kids, please. Anyway, Colts 1-3. They have not looked good. Carson Wentz has not looked good. I mean, he's got basically no feet, no ankles. He's basically walking around like a human pogo stick. Lamar and the Ravens, no matter who they put back there, they had Le'Veon back there for a few plays. They seem to just be able to run the ball. Who are you liking this one?
I guess I'll like the Ravens. I mean, I could see the Colts winning this game because they actually had a good week last week, and it looked better. But yeah, it's like at this point, how much trust do we have in Carson Wentz? And I just think that Baltimore, I don't think it's a great team. I don't think they're the best team in their division, but they're a good team. And they're going to make the playoffs. But I think this is a game that it's kind of like the team. When you have to win a game, I think they'll go in and win a game. Even though, Harbaugh rushing it for 4 yards to get to keep the 100-yard streak going is typical Harbaugh. His brother's a scumbag
that's because
as
they
well.
try to go for a 16-point touchdown on the other end.
Yeah, I mean,
Trash.
listen, the 16-point touchdowns are rare. They are rare. When you do see it, though, it's like getting a Charmelon, or what the hell is his name? Charmander or Charizard. It's like getting a Charizard holographic card.
We're getting Charizards. I'm thinking you can get a 16-point touchdown in Rock and Jock football. I mean, we've been all over the place. We've had Pauly Shore references. We've got MTV. We've got Charizard. Yeah, for those Pokemon fans out there. I know we got a big Pokemon demographic.
Huge demographic with the Pokemon.
Huge.
Yeah.
That and our Native American demographic, also very large here. So those are our game picks for this week. I got to catch up with Drew. And y'all, it is time for the reason you're all here still. Not to see our lovely faces. I mean, that's a bonus. But it is time for Ward's Wagers. Sponsored by Lavtani CBD Olive Oil. Order, call 440-479-4832 or email anandamij@gmail.com. It is $14.99 a bottle, but more importantly, Drew is just killing it. 6-2 the last 2 weeks, brother. Who you got for us this week?
All right, so we'll start out. I'm going to take Green Bay -3 as we just referenced earlier. I think they got a lot of good things going. I hate to see it, but I think Green Bay is a good pick this week. I will take Dallas also -7 at home. Again, the Giants, if Saquon Barkley continues to run the ball, it's a different team. However, I'm just not sold that I've seen enough of it at this point. In Dallas, with the the power they have offensively, I will take Dallas here. I will also take the Arizona Cardinals -5 at home against San Francisco. Again, we talked Trey Lance going into this environment. It's his first game. I know he looked good in spurts last week. I think now Arizona has the ability to kind of game plan for him, which is somewhat definitely not similar to what we see with Jimmy Garoppolo. So we'll go with Arizona as well. And where was the other game I had here? Oh, yep, there it is. And the Carolina Panthers at home. They're giving up a field goal, playing Philadelphia. Again, Philadelphia has been decent. I just think a field goal is the honey hole to take this. I think it's a 7 to 10 point win for Carolina.
Green Bay -3, Dallas -7, AZ -5, Carolina -3, if I had that correct.
Yep, we're taking all favorites.
We are looking for a 4-0 week, and man, the more I look at that Monday night game, that might be a Drew Ward early to bed special right there, because I don't have a lot of faith in Indianapolis, even though they did play well last week. Be interesting to see. We got a score update. Any score yet on the Thursday night game?
No, Russell Wilson threw a pick. On top of Stafford's pick, so there's just a pick fest going on at this
Defensive battle there.
Yeah, so pretty much exactly what we were saying it was going to be at the top of the show.
Absolutely, it is a killer game. I'm sure it'll turn around. It's probably going to end up like a 42-40 game. It'll be an insane second half, so make sure you stay up. Drew, what you got going on this weekend? Anything exciting? Anything on the TV you're catching up, kids?
My parents are coming into town tomorrow,
Nice.
so I'm gonna play a little golf on Saturday, and then the Sunday activities of just basically watching football for not 8 hours now, but
16
12
hours or so.
Yeah, well, 16. I could. I'll definitely be asleep probably by the Sunday night game, but that's just how it works. It's gonna be a good weekend. Got the pool closed down today, so
Nice. Even though it's decided to stay about 80 degrees here in Northeast Ohio for some damn reason.
yeah, exactly.
This weather can never figure out what the hell it's doing. I am going to catch up on the Daniel Craig Bond movies, possibly go see the new one at some point here. I got kids' Halloween drive-through on Saturday night. It'll be interesting. And then, of course, come Sunday, we got football starting at 9:30 a.m. Everybody, make sure you do us a favor. Like the show, share, tell your friends about it. Our Pokemon guys, hey, if you're a big Pokemon guy,
Big
check us out on
Blastoise
Facebook.
guys,
We're big friends with a huge Pokemon page run by my stepbrother there, who is just killing it with the Pokemon game, I guess. I don't understand it,
Is that a thing we're doing? We are?
but We
Oh.
are friends with them on our Facebook page, so you can check
Yeah.
them out there. Which I just remembered now at this moment.
Get yourself a holographic. I don't even know if they're worth. We used to get that shit with the paper route money, but
They are apparently making money because my stepbrother's making a lot of bank off
good for him.
Pokemon cards. But yeah, hey, it's good. People, have a good weekend. We're out. We will see you next week. Until then, remember, as always, if you live the life you love, you'll love the life you live. Night, kids.